Nothing better than a good old breath for the day, the moment. You know, what do they say? We take like 15,000 breaths in a day, something abnormal, but it's actually quite normal. Yeah, I've been getting into the breathing mechanics and the cadence of 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. It's like 10 seconds, and you do 6 of those per minute. And it's a good like longevity breath just to keep the nervous system regulated. I know you're big into breath, right? Absolutely. Especially with the didgeridoo you play.
Yep, absolutely, yep. I've been practicing a similar method to you. 4 seconds in through the nose, and then twice as much, 8 seconds out through the mouth. So
longer.
It's just 2 seconds longer on the out breath for 5 times in the minute.
That's perfect. Yeah, those longer exhalations though, just so nervous system regulating. And yeah, man, I mean, where did we start? Like, we literally met just like, what, 3 weeks ago in Greece at a small little shop? Ago. It's so funny. So I'm walking into the shop. I was in Corfu, Greece, in a realist, right? And I'm just like, you know, I've been there before, and you immediately are there looking at some cloths or whatever it is, and you're like, oh, dude, you should totally keep coming here. What did you say? Something along those lines?
Yeah, like if you're interested in like, nice Greek fabrics, come to this location. They've got, good stuff for sale, and I know the owner and some workers there, so it's a really nice place. It's just interesting that we find ourselves both in that same place in that same time.
Okay, that's the crazy part about collective consciousness, and what brought us together is we were in residence, right? And that's why we're here right now in beautiful Vienna having this conversation here today. So we started chatting, a little small talk, and then I noticed you had this interesting vibe, just as you do right now, where you just carry yourself well, you're very articulate, you were tan, which is a good thing. I always use melanin, and the quality of your melanin in your skin is a good sign of someone that really resonates in ways. But yeah, I just saw you were very bright and cheerful, and I noticed you were just excited about something. You were asking us some questions, and I love that energy, inquisitive energy of like, who are you, and getting to know each other. And I reflected that back for that moment. I was with Luana at the time, and one thing led to the next. You were asking like a bit about like, what do we do or whatever, and I was asking you, and music. The resonance of music, that's Absolutely. What came up, right? And so music, the harmony of music, and we were about to go to this residency here in Vienna, up in Winklergut, and brought it up to you, and you're like, oh, tell me more about that. And you found out you were into music for quite some time, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then one thing led to the next. You alchemized it, and you were like, let's get our exchange in numbers. And I love people that take action on things, don't just talk about it. Like, you actually took action. You were like, I really feel something here. We can make something out of this. And one thing led to the next. We're at this residency just about a week ago, like a week and a half ago. We had a beautiful week up in the beautiful mountains and rolling hills of Vienna, and beautiful experience, harmonizing our voices, hitting up the sauna, laughing, playing, dancing at the festival for Lunasa, the gathering there. And here we are today. So yeah, man, going off of all that and the foundation of how this all intertwined in such a beautiful synchronicity, I would love to hear more about the foundations of yourself, and what led you into this 3D matter you are in, this archetype you're in today.
Yeah, sure.
We had a central theme we were going to go back to. What was the major idea we were going to encapsulate today?
I think it's mostly just about how, as I've experienced others and heard their stories, I find that a lot of people find themselves in sort of like this feeling of isolation, where they're kind of to themselves, and they're starting to figure out, they're recellularizing and figuring out who they are, what they're doing, what their purpose is here, why they're here on Earth, maybe what's their mission to achieve. And I think it starts there. It starts there, just finding the self, and speaking about through the breath. Using that as a resource and a tool to understand where we are. And sometimes meditation is a great place to start with that.
Okay, so coming inward, asking us, deep questions, introspective questions, solitude, solitude, and then that is a beautiful template to be able to expand and express oneself in this human experience, right? So tell us a little bit more about the foundations of your youth. Where were you in your teens and developing years, and how did that transcend? And, sparking whatever is relatable.
It's a great question. Yeah, born and raised on the streets in California, in Sacramento. Starting out, it was quite difficult. I was always supported and have everything that I needed. As a kid, I was quite curious and kind of wanted to expand and test the borders and the boundaries. And out of that curiosity, I found myself in a lot of play. And then shortly after, I kind of found like a lot of the rules, coming through from the teachers and the parents and the contracts that were being formed. And so I just kept going on that path for a while. And I lived in California the first 17 years. And then I decided to increase my relationships with other people in my family. So I moved to the Midwest. I stayed there in Springfield, Missouri for quite some time. Close to where I guess you were at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's another synchronicity. This pancake or flat Earth or just round globe.
Whatever. Maybe it's a triangle or a square, any kind of a shape. Yeah, just 3 hours away from each other. So that's very interesting. And now we're here also again. And then transitioned in the latter part into Florida and found a lot of freedom, found a lot of outdoors, found the ocean, a lot of nature, and for the first time within the last 3 years, a lot of community. People with like minds, people with like-minded feelings, and directed and moving sort of in the same trajectory, the same path. Coming out of that solitude, finding their expression through arts, through painting, through music especially. And I think that was the catalyst that really brought about the expansive sort of traveling nature that exists today.
Did you ever go through this quote unquote dark night of the soul, or any depths that like you felt really deep emotions? Because have you heard of spiral dynamics before? It's super interesting. I like to coincide it in the way of like the levels of consciousness, where there's like the lowest of lowest scales of consciousness is related to shame and grief, and just really it's even below anger in many ways. When we experience shame and grief, eventually there's a spiral that may happen. You get down to the lowest. If you pull yourself out of it, it's either death or it's you pull yourself out of it. And most people pull themselves out of it in this realm, and so they'll spiral back up into anger, and then they'll have more joy, and then some more of the higher levels of consciousness. Sure. So did you experience any of that in any points in life during this transition period from California to Florida?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of that. I think there was a lot of liveliness and life and expansion happening as a child in California. I was able to really travel as much as I wanted to. I spent a lot of time outdoors. I was always in creeks and climbing trees and building things and being very expressive and creative. And I really enjoyed that. And when I moved to the Midwest, I found that it was quite stuck in a way. I kind of got involved, I guess, maybe with different crowds of people and different energies that were maybe a little less aligned than the path that I had before. And so I got sort of caught in that cycle for, let's say, about 20 years or so. And then I randomly decided to move to Florida to get a change of pace and to see what was down there. And then I think that's when everything shifted. So to move more into the question of the spiral and the downs, yeah, for sure. Through my own experience and was speaking about a lot of others, moving through just different types of addictions, whether it be, drinking or getting into the wrong things. I definitely had some spaces there. And then I kept finding myself in spaces that I would rather be in other places. And so I thought to myself, how do I get to those other places? What is the pathway to get to those other places? And the quickest way that I found to get to those places was to move myself away from the spaces that I was in. And doing that with and in collaboration and co-creation with others that also wanted that same thing, that had that same resonance and that same feeling.
So you spent a great deal of time alone while also simultaneously with these groups that didn't have the resonance, whether it's like partying, it's drinking, it's drugs, it could be anything related to that, right? Yep. I have that in my story as well. And eventually that time alone, you started realizing, okay, picking pieces of your true self, okay, that's in resonance, that's not. And then eventually you started taking action in the orientation of people that actually reciprocate that energy. So where do you start with something like that? Because I know a lot of us, some of you guys listening, like experience this feeling of solitude, loneliness of like, I don't really resonate with my friend groups anymore. I'm moving out of that. I'm growing in consciousness outside of that. I don't really want to hang out every weekend and drink. I don't really want to have those conversations. I don't really want to watch sports anymore. Whatever it may be specifically, what do you do in those circumstances? Because you were able to change and alchemize it. So where was your alchemist energy coming from? Like, how did you manage that?
So I think the thing was that I started following and listening to my heart more, like into my center. And when I started to find myself, I found myself in that solitude, found myself doing more meditations, found myself, bypassing those groups, bypassing those situations, bypassing some of those addictions, and think, okay, what is actually going to serve me in this moment, and what is going to serve others that I'm around simultaneously? And so what I felt, and what I still feel, and quite often is that whenever I go with my intuition and my gut feeling, and I start to get like those goosebumps, right? It's like those sensories on my skin and in my body. That's sort of what I feel like is my higher self divinely sending me in the direction that I need to go. And then placing, people are being placed in my path, or I'm running into them, and they're on that same frequency and they're feeling that same thing. And so when you see someone's eyes light up and you see their heart open up and you see authenticity and you see clarity in their speech and they do what they say and they're there for you and you can be there for them and you start to build that relationship, it increases the relationship in ourselves and it increases the relationship that we have with others.
Okay, so you started noticing like these almost like soul contracts starting to develop of like, okay, I see you, you're going to be a valuable asset. I can be a valuable asset too. I like how you mentioned that as well as like, it's not just like, what can you get from this? It's like, what can you provide to this? And that should be actually probably the first question, like you were mentioning there. In all relationships really is what can I provide? What can I give versus what can I receive? So you started noticing a certain resonance. How did you manage that overall? Was it just in normal day-to-day you were exploring, like leaving, going to like certain yoga shops, or like was there certain places specifically in your journey?
You hit it right.
Oh yeah, was it like yoga?
Like there it is right there. I mean, there's the goosebumps. It was yoga. It was yoga.
Really? Yeah.
I started yoga around 6 to 7 years ago. And I first started going to the yoga studio. And at the time I was in a relationship and I was in a space that I wanted to kind of move out of. And I noticed that every time I would go to that yoga studio, I would feel more free. I would find connection with others. And that in turn, I found more connection with myself. And I thought, this is the resonance, this is the vibration, this is the space that I want to be in. So I continued to do that. And the deeper I went in and the more I attended that yoga course and the more I went and spent time with those people, the more dissonance I found with the people that I was actually around in that time. And so I just started asking those people, hey, what are you doing after this? Do you want to go do something? Would you like to go take a walk in the park? And started to get to know them and asking them questions. How did you get here? What is yoga doing for you? We find ourselves in the same space. What do you think that is? And so we started having these small conversations. And through those conversations, it sort of led to discovery. And out of that discovery, it was like, okay, this is where I need to be. These are the people that I want to be with. And the markers that they were identified with was very freestyle clothing, very energetic output, consistently showing up and doing what they say they're going to do, making and creating time to spend with each other, even though sometimes in the life of business and there in the United States, it can be a little bit more like time and money driven. I started to see a different type of energy, a different type of movement from them. And I thought, okay, there's something to this. I want more of that, and I want to give more of that, and I'm willing to become more of that.
That's a huge part of it, right? The will for it. It's not just like, going back to what I was saying about how can I receive, how can I consume? Consumerism and materialism is so rampant today, and I fall victim to that at times with certain things. And I know you just actually had this happen with, in a beautiful way, the music you invested in, right? You invested like $11K the past month into like the hand pans.
It was a lot.
Yeah. But see, that was a soul energetic consumerism where it's like not even like consuming. It's like you're trying to create with the investment, right?
Absolutely.
Versus just consuming and then blah, that's it afterwards. Like there was something coming out of it. So it's all about intentionality with everything. I think the more intentional and mindful we are with these things, we do attract the abundance in our life. And that certainly has happened for you in your story, transitioning from a lot of because you were in the military, right?
Right.
So you were in the Army.
Right.
For 8 years?
8 years.
8 years, okay. And that was from 17, you said, to 25?
17 to 25.
Yeah. So I remember all those guys. You see, take note. No, but it really resonates a lot. My sister was in the Marines for quite some time, so she went through a lot of challenge during 9/11 period in 2004 in Afghanistan. A lot of challenges around that time period. But I got to see a lot of that, and I have a lot of respect and honor for individuals that dedicated their life, a big part of their life, to that. So you went through that period, and then afterwards, you had all these transitions. Then you got inspired into the music, into the yoga, into the movement, and now today, with this idea of solitude. And merging solitude or solitude with the envelope of co-creation, how do you find balance with that today in your current lifestyle? So the way you're living your lifestyle, how are you embodying that, and how do you like to live your lifestyle or prefer to live your lifestyle, or how are you truly living your lifestyle even in this moment? How does that work for you when it comes to operating on the scale of presence and solitude to the other flip of the script, which is going out extrinsic expression?
So, it's just noticing and making space and time for ourselves as much as we can in a day that we feel that is needed, right? So taking that time to recharge, to rejuvenate, take care for ourselves and our bodies and our minds. That's both through nutrition, that's both also through exercise, and also through the creation with music and that. And so, I always say to people that presently, in this present moment, bringing our presence is the greatest present that we can give to the world. And so I live by that. And I also live by the feeling and the knowing that we are love. We are complete love. And to be that means that we share and we express as much as we possibly can with our unique energy signatures. And doing that in collaboration with others creates this massive spark for expansion. And so I think that's the driving point, is to spend more time with others, coming into that space through that solitude, feeling secure, feeling stabilized, feeling grounded through practices of meditation, through rituals of cleansing, whether it be through white sage or whatever one prefers. And then as we show up in our top form. And when we do that, we allow space for ourselves to express, and we also allow the space for others to express themselves, because we're able to hold space when others may need it. And then that in end effect is reciprocated through the law of attraction and magnetism.
I feel it so deeply right now in my own life. I resonate so much with that because for about 6 years I've been coaching and supporting others through different forms of therapy and holistic coaching and whatnot. And what you mentioned there is like holding space for others. And I feel just in a majority of my career in life, and even outside of professional life, just personal life, I've been holding space for a lot of individuals that now I'm actually getting a lot of people to hold space for me, and including yourself. You've been very supportive of that with different emotional areas of life and relational things and navigating that. And it's so interesting because whenever I have these conversations with others, the knowing is already there. It's all reflection though, where I'm like bouncing something onto you and you reflect it back. You're like, yeah, man, I just noticed you said the word not like 3 times in one sentence. I help clients with this, which is so funny, and moving away from going towards the thing you don't want to the positive orientation towards where you do want to go. So ultimately, if you have something that you're wanting to make a change in, whether it's you're not satisfied in your body, you feel like you're very unhealthy, you have a lot of blubber, you want to burn off, saying something that's oriented towards I don't want to be fat anymore is only going to exemplify the very thing you don't want and magnify it. However, if you shift the energy towards I am a fit individual, I am so loving within my body, I am so healthy, and not just a cliche looking in the mirror affirmation way, but in an energetic embodiment of emotion, you will quite literally shift and morph into that reality of a fit person.
Yep. It's
very, very tremendous. So you caught me in saying the not words quite often, which is so ironic because I'm teaching a lot of people this, but I didn't even see that within myself until you reflected that. And then I was like, wow, okay, let's shift this not energy into the pro, the positive, and where I'm orienting towards, because if I have this not void, I'm going back into it. But if I create this energetic alignment there, I'll go towards it.
When I create.
When I create. There we go. Not if. There's no if.
Moving out the ifs for whens, moving out the buts for ands, and maintaining that creator status. And that's exactly it. That's the defining line that shifts and changes everything, because as we speak and we make these sort of contracts either with others or with the universe or whatever one's belief is, so shall that return back to us exactly in that way. And that's the most important thing, is right there, is being very clear and connective with our speech and taking great care in the words that we speak and how we speak to others, because the way that we speak to others, realistically, because of the mirror effect, is how we're speaking to ourselves.
Yes, the mirror effect indeed. So in your life, when and how did this emerge for you, this language and the power of abracadabra?
So as a child, I always had this. I was always very intelligent. I always had the willingness and the knowingness about how I wanted to be and how I spoke with others. And it was oftentimes shared back to me. And then through the adult years, somewhere that kind of shifted out and shifted away. And then within the last 3 years or so, it kind of came back into this resonance. So I was watching this movie called Ready Player One,
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and the main line that I took from it is go backwards as fast as you can. So I started thinking about that concept. What does it mean to go backwards as fast as you can? Because that's how he won the first key in the game. And so he did the unthinkable. He did exactly the opposite of what everyone else was doing. He put his car in reverse and he went as fast as he could. And he went through the bottom part of this matrix and found the way through an underground tunnel and completed and beat that part of the game by doing so. So I thought, well, what does that mean? So it meant that go back as far as we can to our childhood when everything was uninhibited, when it was free, when it was clear, when we're in our curiosity and we're doing the things that either us or our soul wants to do. And I thought, how do I embody that in my now adult life? And so I started reminiscing on things that I did as a child, ways that I played as a child. And so I integrated a lot more play into life. And I realized that through that play, for the most part, I can do a lot of the things that I want to do pretty much all the time, so long as I'm respecting myself while doing it and also respecting others while doing it.
So you hit the rewind button.
Rewind.
You went into deeper meditative states, reflections of who you are, who you were, and doing so in an act of gratitude, not in an act of regret or pain or shame or guilt.
Sure.
Ultimately. So just shifting the energy into like, this is who I was and this is also who I am in the present moment, and having gratitude for it and recognizing that the words themselves also orchestrate this matrix we live in.
Absolutely.
So in your life right now, where's the next steps? Where are you headed at the moment? Where are you building that's exciting?
You know, right now, the main focus and the main point is community, is collaboration, and it's music. It's definitely music. I notice it through the vibrations of music, through the sounds of music, and through, you know, getting into groups of people that both play music, create music, and are around music all the time. They just seem to be quite a bit happier. They seem to be quite a bit more free. And I thought, okay, what is that? Then music is just an extension, I guess, of the soul, right? There's that resonance that when you hear that specific note or you hear that specific key, it either brings about nostalgia and brings you back to a place that you've been before and brings you back to maybe a memory that you really loved and enjoyed, or maybe a memory that you went through some alchemization that brought you to this now point. And I thought, okay, creating this as much as I can in the capacity that I have is one of the best gifts that I can bring to the world. And that comes back to the presence. And in this present moment, that's what I'm doing. Building the music brand and building up Amanaku music.
What's so beautiful, Azariel, is the fact that I believe we actually forged this relationship 3 weeks ago from that little shop in Greece, in Arillis, due to the very fact that we're in harmony to the same sounds and frequencies in our own internal world, which reciprocated and created this web effect of us meeting that very moment. And our past also aligned in many ways, and our future visions are aligning in many ways, right? And that's exactly how this whole matrix works, is you attract the people that you are. And so the more you get into that mindset of what you want, whether it's health, it's nutrition, it's abundance, it's in any form, you will attract those very people. And I've noticed that tremendously over the past year, just shifting my mind. And it's still a work in progress, because, you know, you even called me out on the knots. You called me out on some of these things. It's like shifting it, and it's a fun journey. How can you make it fun and playful? Like you mentioned, when you activate the inner child play and curiosity, everything is so much better versus making it all serious and like, oh, this is a really serious journey of personal development. I need to watch all these motivational videos to get where I need to go. It's like, I mean, you can do that. Sure, that's totally fine if it works for you. At the end of the day, though, that's extrinsic power, when you can really focus on that intrinsic motivation and power. So you've really inspired me on this journey and walk of life. And a shout out to Dakota. You'll meet Dakota at some point. We're building bioculture retreats right now. He's a day one homie, and you know, he brings up how collaboration is the eighth wonder of the world. So the eighth wonder of the world is collaboration. When you brought that up, it was music to my ears, because I spent a good majority of my life doing the solopreneur energy. And it works really well. And I really recommend a lot of individuals tap into a form of coaching, mentorship, therapy of any form, or content creation and creativity through that, because you're building your content creation now, the marketing online to merge into the real world. I love it. So excited to see more handpan videos. And you got more
coming. They're coming.
And I did that straight shot for myself, me in many ways. And now I'm, over the past 2 years, these retreats have really opened up a whole new gateway of what is this really all for? And it's going back to nature. And nature in its fundamental sense is about tribal energy, dancing around the fire, communal dinners, singing together and harmonizing, and connecting through music. You know, it's truly about the rawness of this wood. It's the beautiful light flickering here. And notice how still that light is too, by the way, with some of this breeze coming in. It says that there's a lot of energy that's still in the room right now.
With the fire.
Yeah. Oh, and he's a fire wizard, by the way. Actually, this is a good segue. Tell us more about your relationship with fire and fuego.
So I had a friend, and he was a good friend of mine, and he was holding men's circles every full moon. And so I started going there and I started realizing like how much alchemy and how much transmutation that the fire was bringing, because it's one of the elements, right? I was like, okay, why am I so attracted to this? Why do I want to be here? And when I was 5 years old, I had this trauma because I was up on this lake and I threw a little twig in the fire. And I was a little bit unhappy where it landed. I thought, I need to be a little bit more in, right? It needs to burn. It was on the outside. So I went to go pick it up. When I went to go pick it up, I tripped on a rock and I put my hand down next to, kind of in the fire on the outer ring, and underneath the ash was a steel plate. And my hand landed directly on that steel plate and it burned an X into my hand, black. We had to cancel the trip, put my hand on a block of ice and leave. And I basically stopped working with and or playing with fire at that point. Then when I met this guy, B-Love, and I started going to circles, I started seeing how he was just kind of with the fire, in the fire, you know, really being one with it. And I thought, this is a man that I need to know. This is a man I can learn from. This is a man I need to sit with. And so I started sitting with him. And he transitioned from this world about a year and a half ago. And when he did that, I was there that night. And I feel like he passed that flame to me. And so since that point, I've been building fires all over the world, from Costa Rica to Florida to Germany to Austria to Greece, just wherever I find myself in nature or with people. And people that know and have been around me, they know that you know, we're always going to have fire, and we're always going to have the opportunity to get together and become family, to become tribe, you know, to go over these chants and have these deep talks with the elements in nature. And that's where it started. And so now, you know, I started ice bathing about 4 years ago, and I started fire bathing about 2 years ago. So,
what have you noticed within yourself connecting with this element?
You know, the thing is that there was a fear from before that this is going to hurt me, that this flame, it's going to burn me. But the reality is that I sit here right now, sitting in front of you, there's no burning that's happening. It's a respect for the flame. So it means that since the flame is providing heat and it's giving something, then also I give something in return. I give love, I give gratitude, I give respect, and I hold that space with the fire all over the world so that others can also experience it in a way. And so what that's doing is it's removing this sort of fear mentality that it's going to burn. And I teach this and I show this to children. And of course I ask ahead of time, for comfortability, you know, for the parents and others to show them, hey, this is actually just an element, you know, and you can be with it. And even if it's just this small, or even if it's larger, it's just a matter of having gratitude and having respect for what's being given in that moment. And I think that translates to pretty much every aspect of life.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And you know, it's funny because most people would freak out even about that. This goes actually deeply into the ember walking, or what is it? The
ember walking on the hot coals.
The hot coals. You've done that, I imagine, right? Or,
Never done it.
That's your next step. It's like fire converging with the stones, which is really interesting. Or it's like the old wood. I love that, man. That's so cool. We'll have to do that then. We'll have to get some fire bending at some of our retreats later this year in Guatemala. Beautiful, man. I'm so excited about this journey of life with you, and just being able to hold eye contact right now, feel that soul presence, and then be carrying onward in the rest of our lives. Like, so much to build and co-create together. I'm so excited. After this, we're actually about to eat a little bit. We'll nourish our bodies, get some yin in, and then some more working in with some jamming. You brought your hand pan. Yeah, let's whip that out real quick. It's behind you, right? The
sure,
I'll
grab it. Yeah,
and tell us a little bit about what happened with 440 hertz, actually. I'd love to hear.
It's a funny story.
Yeah, so, you know, it's funny. Azariel had he had a little incident with his handpan. So where did it get dented, or is it just sound?
So there was actually 2 instances with it already, and it just comes back to sort of like that state of presence and that state of understanding. When we were at the retreat, I was sitting with it with a new friend of ours, Vera, absolutely fantastic vocalist, angel on earth. And she was singing, playing the harmonium, and I was playing the handpan, and I wanted to sing with the handpan. And in that moment, I noticed that with my intuition, the handpan was enough. And so the ego started to come in a little bit and go, wait a second, you have a beautiful voice. Go ahead and pair the voice with hers and play the handpan. And I knew that I needed to just stay with the handpan. So as I went to go adjust the microphone, I adjusted it. And as I went to go back to play the handpan, the microphone fell out and landed right on top of the handpan. And it was another reminder that go with that intuition, with that feeling that says when something is enough, allow it to be enough. And so I thought it would change the resonance, and luckily it stayed in tune.
Yeah.
And so now we have it, and it's here to play.
Well, then yesterday you landed the rainbow stance?
So this is, again, back to that intuition, that feeling. I had stayed up for quite a bit of time. I was a little bit tired, and I was in the park here in Vienna. And I went to go do a normal handstand, which I normally do, and then I support my feet on the tree.
Yeah.
So this time I sprung up and went to the tree, completely bypassed the whole tree somehow, because I overexerted. I went past my energy limit.
That's how you did.
And because I went past my energy limit, it showed me that I was off in my decision, and so it became off in the action. And I missed the tree, and my whole body landed completely like a rainbow over the handpan. My legs went like completely on top of it.
And what was your epiphany with that outside of the, because you mentioned something else with the 440.
With the 440.
Where did that come
from? With the 440 and the 432. So when I purchased this handpan, I purchased it because of the resonance and because it was stainless steel, and it just sounded and felt like it was the right pan.
Yeah.
And having knowledge already that 432, I guess from the greater knowledge, is the more deeper resonance, the healing, like the exact.
The God Om.
4, 3 is 7, and 2 is 9. So you come to the number 9. I thought, okay, I need to go with that. Somehow this one called to me, so I said, okay, I'll go away from it, and we'll go this direction and just see what happens. And it's been resonating really well, and it sounds beautiful. So I'm just in the journey in the moment to see, okay, what is the actual difference between 432 and 440? And I've seen some videos and heard some different documentaries on what people think. And now I'm in my own personal discovery to see what it is. Yeah,
I've gone through that as well. And I think 440 has a lot of healing. I mean, it's still a vibration. It's also, there's so many frequencies within and vibrations within 440. So it's not like it's always just 440, because it would always be one tune.
Sure.
There's obviously going to be like 1100 and all these, different frequencies coinciding with the 440. But at the end of the day, 432 has been shown in studies, and it's been around for a while, especially if you look at the shifts in the Rockefeller movement and all the investments that went into tuning everything with radio and instruments in like the 1940s, right after World War II, to all 440, which is really interesting. So PSYOP or not, doesn't matter. I think just feel into what feels good. But 432 would be pretty cool if everything was tuned that way, I'll be honest, because the sacred number 9 out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. So we're going to get into jamming. We're going to eat some nourishing foods. I'm super excited about this. Azariel, do you have any other little notes of wisdom that you'd like to share with individuals here?
Notes of wisdom. Follow your heart, maintain your personal expression, do everything that you want to do in life as much as you can and as much as you want to. And whenever someone brings about a different path or a different way or a different idea, take the opportunity to entertain it and still remember that you are the creator of your personal reality. And so the story is yours, and paint this world exactly like the picture that you want to see and exactly like the picture that you want to feel.
Aho, brother. Thank you so much, man. Shake and bake. We'll keep it. We'll keep the magic rolling. If you guys are interested in getting in contact with him, where can they reach out to you or find more about what because you're about to go on a little gig run right now, right?
Absolutely.
Bounce around Europe?
Absolutely. Yeah. So starting out right now, creating different social media platforms. You can find me on Amanaku Music on Instagram and also Amanaku Music on TikTok. And then I'll be starting my tour here in Europe in the beginning of May. Beautiful. We'll put all that in the notes below. And big moral of the story is this man is truly a living legend. There's so much beauty and growth. And these are the types of people that are attending these retreats we have with Bioculture as well. And I'm so excited to have you come later this year to Guatemala. We have a beautiful retreat center there we just invested in. And
being on this sacred land and actually giving back to the land, not just using it as like a gentrification type thing, but really getting into the sacred harmony of the land and giving back, going to what we made as the moral of the story here, which is really give, and you will receive, and do so without the expectation to receive.
Sure.
And I'm just so excited to jam with you on some of these nights at these retreats, man.
Go to
biocultureretreats.com if you guys are interested in learning more about that. And let's keep having a beautiful day and beautiful evening and beautiful life. Take that breath of 4 seconds in. Eight seconds out. Even better than 6. Lots of love to you all.